You can tell we're drawing close to Christmas. One of the observances this week is related to our Christmas customs, as you will see. Sunday, December 6th, is St. Nicholas Day. Nicholas was born into a wealthy family in the late 3rd century. He was very devoted to the Lord, and as an adult he adopted an ascetic lifestyle. When he inherited his family's wealth, he set about giving it away. One famous story is that there was a poor family in his town that had 3 daughters. The family had no money for dowries for them. So Nicholas went to their home late at night and dropped a bag of money through the window for a dowry for the eldest daughter. As time went on, he did the same for each of the other daughters, so they were able to make good marriages. One variation of the story is that he dropped the money down the chimney. What is certain is that he was a strong and generous spirit. He became a priest and eventually Bishop of Myra, a city in modern Turkey, not far from his hometown. One story from that part of his life is that he heard that 3 men were to be executed who were known to be innocent. As the executioner was about to strike the first one, Nicholas intervened, pushed the man's sword to the ground, released the victim's chains, and then scolded a juror who had accepted a bribe. Some claim that Nicholas attended the First Council of Nicaea, where they debated the relationship of Jesus Christ to the Godhead. Nicholas defended orthodoxy and went so far, they say, as to slap an opponent for speaking against the Holy Trinity. After he died on December 6th, in about the year 350, he was honored as a saint, and churches were built and named for him. The custom of giving gifts on his feast day, December 6th, developed in many places. In Dutch tradition, it is said that St. Nicholas brings children gifts the night before his feast day. In Dutch, he is known as Sint Nicholas or Sinterklaas, which of course led to our name, Santa Claus. The image of Santa that we have was developed largely by Clement Clark Moore and Coca-Cola advertising, but it is good to know that the jolly giver of gifts has his roots in a beloved bishop who was generous to the poor. There are 2 people on our calendar for December 10th, this Thursday, and I wish to tell you about both of them. One is the theologian Karl Barth, one of the giants of Reformed theology of the 20th century. One of my more extravagant purchases was the entire set of his church dogmatics, all 13 volumes plus index. No, I wouldn't dream of trying to read it in German. He's hard enough to read in English. But his church dogmatics and his commentary on the book of Romans, which is his best-known work, were very helpful to me in my doctoral dissertation. Among American Presbyterians, Barth is most fondly remembered as the principal author of the Barmen Declaration, which held forth against Nazism and is included in our Book of Confessions. Barth was Swiss, born May 10, 1886 in Basel, and was educated in theology in Germany. He served Reformed churches and taught in Germany until he was expelled in 1935 for his refusal to sign the oath of loyalty to Adolf Hitler. Then he returned to Basel to teach. Before that, he had led the writing of the Barmen Declaration, which affirmed that loyalty to Jesus Christ was supreme over loyalty to any nation-state or ruler. He mailed it personally to Hitler in 1934. Those Germans who held to the Barmen Declaration over against Hitler and his taking lordship over the German Christians became known as the Confessing Church, because they confessed Jesus Christ as Lord, not Hitler. Barth's greatest intellectual achievement is the Church Dogmatics, which he never completed as he had planned, but nonetheless made a breathtaking impact on Reformed theology in the 20th century. In 1962, he made a lecture tour of the United States. During World War II and after, he was critical of those Christians in Germany who cooperated with the Third Reich out of their staunch anti-communism. He said that he had no desire to live in a communist state, but that reactionary anti-communism was a worse evil than communism itself. As he was dying, he said to his friend Edward Turneyson that, "For things are ruled, not just in Moscow or in Washington or in Beijing, but things are ruled, even here on earth, entirely from above, from heaven above." Barth died at home in Basel on December 10th, 1968. On that same date, Thomas Merton died. Merton was a Trappist monk who lived and worked at a monastery in Bardstown, Kentucky. He was known as a theologian, mystic, poet, and scholar of comparative religion. Many of you have read his work and have been influenced by his thinking on prayer and the active spiritual life. Merton was born January 31st, 1915 in France to a New Zealand painter and his American artist wife. He was baptized in the Church of England, and during World War I, the family moved to the United States. After his mother died, the family moved often, and he spent much of his childhood with other relatives. Ultimately, he landed at Columbia University in New York, where he explored spiritual possibilities, having grown dissatisfied with the organized religion he knew. A Hindu priest, somewhat to his surprise, urged him not to explore Hinduism, but rather to look deeper into the roots of his native faith, so that Merton read St. Augustine and The Imitation of Christ. He began to attend Mass at a Catholic church near the campus, and in 1938 became a Catholic. In 1941, Thomas Merton entered the Abbey of Gethsemani in Kentucky, where he spent the remainder of his life. He began to write poetry, but hesitated to publish it, seeing that as a conflict with his monastic vocation. His abbot, however, insisted on his publishing his work, including Merton's autobiography, The Seven-Story Mountain. He wrote extensively over the years, works which continue to have a large impact on the spiritual lives of Christian people. Merton was deeply interested in Eastern religious traditions, especially Zen. He believed that Christianity had largely abandoned its mystical spiritual tradition in favor of rationalism and logic. He had no interest in exchanging his faith in Christ for another religion, but he saw that Eastern mysticism could contribute to an awakening of the mystical in Christianity. His work has continued to grow in popularity and his influence on all types of Christians, not only Catholics. He died suddenly at a retreat center in Thailand on December 10th, 1968. Although his death was blamed on a heart attack and electrocution, there were anomalous circumstances that remain unexplained. From time to time, his death has been blamed on the CIA, and a book about his death was entitled The Martyrdom of Thomas Merton.